What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the debut album from the band Thantifaxath, entitled Sacred White Noise. This is released on Dark Descent Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very unorthodox, obscure, and altogether instrumentally efficient style of black metal. I mean, this is a band that really strives to be different from the usual kind of black metal sound, with its inclusion of very, very well executed guitar riffs, good vocal ranges, awesome song structuring. And this is a band that really showcased how different and unique they could be with their self-titled EP that came out a couple of years ago. Just some really, really amazing sounding stuff. It was a short EP, but really it showcased a lot of potential. Not to mention the fact that this is one of those bands that really dedicates themselves to shrouding themselves in secrecy. The band members are unknown. They are a trio. Just a guitarist, vocalist, bassist, and a drummer. Some bands out there nowadays like to really do the whole shrouded in secrecy thing, like nowadays with bands such as Abyssal and Urkali and Oracle. And most of all of those bands are really incredible. This band included as well. Now we have the first full-length album from this band, Sacred White Noise. It's 6 tracks, and it clocks in at around 44 minutes in length. And I've been listening to this album a lot. I want to say maybe I've given this album a good 4 to 5 listens. And the originality that this album has is just so amazing. The originality, the suspense, the songwriting. There's just a lot of amazing things going on with this album. And really it showcases a potential contender for being one of the best pieces of pure black metal to come out this year. Original black metal. Not your true cult, grim kind of black metal. This is something completely different. And I like that they just went all out with this album and created something so marvelous and so special. The guitar riffs on here are very, very well executed. They have a nice, clean sound to them. They don't sound too clean or polished, but clean enough to the point where you can hear every single riff be played and be delivered in the fashion that it does. Very heavy emphasis on high-end tremolo riffs, tremolo-picked riffs, just very fast and attacking. Like the opening track, The Bright White Nothing at the End of the Tunnel, you hear that very instantly on the opening moments of that track, and it's just so very carefully crafted and just so evil and merciless sounding. The suspense that I mentioned earlier is dedicated on that track. The riffs get higher and higher and higher, and it just sounds so good blended together. I just love the way that it feels upon you when you first listen to it. Then going to the next 2 tracks on this album, Where I End and The Hemlock Begins and Gasping in Darkness. The guitar work is just so amazing sounding. I really, really appreciate what's being done here with this guitar. The bass guitar tone is very good as well. It feels very loud in this album's mix. It is a very dominant factor. It's audible from the first track all the way to the very last track of this album. It really is a solid bass tone, definitely perfect and well-fitting for this album's style and vibe and approach. Moving on to the drums, I really love this drummer style. You get a good case of nice blast beats, smooth double bass, even to the more mid-tempo kind of moments. Like, I want to say on the track, going back to Where I End and The Hemlock Begins, you just get some really smooth, elegant kind of drum work going on. It's a very well executed drum performance, good snare and tom sounds, just the way the drum performance is very patterned out. I really appreciate the attention to detail that's being done here. Moving forward to the closing track of this album, Lost in Static Between Walls, which is around almost 11 minutes in length. Just some really good stamina going on that particular track. And another thing to point out is the almost atmospheric elements that go on within this album, preferably the track Eternally Falling, which is like an instrumental kind of track. You hear a violin piece go on throughout that entire track, and I think it really, really sounds amazing. It sounds beautiful and illustrious. It feels as if you're watching one of those old school 1960s through 1980s kind of suspense film. That's the kind of movie soundtrack I would imagine this type of song being a part of. And then going back to the last track of this album, Lost in Static Between Walls, is just jaw-dropping and frightful. Even towards the moments where you hear the violin blend in with the instrumentation of the songwriting going on, I think it sounds scary. It sounds crazy, and I'm loving that. And the vocals are very, very good too. A different kind of vocal approach, I would say, to continue trying to be different and original. This vocal style is very, very maniacal sounding, very well worded, very articulate. The way this vocalist delivers his words, it just sounds frightful. It sounds scary, suspenseful. It can be very growl-like at times, but then this vocalist raises his voice and it becomes a lot more sinister sounding and a lot more scary. I'm loving this guy's vocal approach, and definitely brings forth many of the great stories to be told on this album. So overall, I think this is an absolutely incredible piece of black metal. This is very different. This is very original sounding. It tries to be different from the pack, and that's what I appreciate about this Thantifaxath album. I really, really love the originality, the songwriting, the smoothness of the musicianship, the great vocals, the suspensefulness of it all. Very, very impressive debut. The first 3 tracks are definitely a great highlight for me. The instrumental track, and then the following 2. Pretty much every track on here has its own special moment. So I'm going to leave you a link in the description box to the Dark Descent Bandcamp page where you can stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can buy it digitally through the Bandcamp store, Bandcamp page, and I will also link you to the Dark Descent web store where you can purchase physical copies of this album. It is available on CD and 12-inch vinyl. Whichever version floats your boat, it's definitely an album worth owning. Again, the album is Sacred White Noise by Thantifaxath. This is released on Dark Descent Records. Definitely pick this up. And as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. This is a really, really amazing debut, and I'm looking forward to hearing more great things out of this band. Further proof that bands that tend to shroud themselves in secrecy end up delivering some of the best music humanly possible. So support Thantifaxath. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Armiho out.